Hi, everybody. This is Marianne from the Weight of Time, and I am here with my friend Sandy. Sandy is a nurse, she's a midwife. We met here in Vanuatu. She's also a swimmer. So she's part of the swim team here. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Marianne. Hi from Australia.
Hey, I was wondering, Sandy, first of all, can you tell us something about yourself and how you got involved in midwifery?
Yes, so I was from the Gold Coast. I was born here in December of 1963, so you can work out how old I am. Working class family, just went to a small country school. My dad worked on the main roads. My mum was stay at home and then she worked in the local service station. Always wanted to be a nurse, always, always. And then as I went through my school years, in my 10th year, got in lots of trouble at school, was wagging it, not going. And my birthday, my 15th birthday, happened to be on the last day of school, which you could legally leave. And I intended to go back, and my mum said, "No, you were never at school when you're supposed to be. You can go and get a job." So I had a series of jobs. Not sure how long you want me to talk about that, but a series of jobs. And then well, it wasn't that many because I got married at 19. I was working in aged care at that stage and we raised four boys. When the youngest was finished grade 12, then I went to school, went to university. And even though I hadn't finished high school, I became a nurse. In my final year of nursing, I was on a scholarship trip to Nepal and we were trekking around the Annapurna circuit. And as a Christian, I was praying about what I should do. And I had this epiphany that if I improve the health of women and children, then I could change the world. So I went home thinking I'd do midwifery. My dad passed away. I lost all momentum. I limped through the rest of university as a nurse, didn't get a job, and then through a series of events, got a scholarship to do midwifery. And even though I tried to quit a couple of times, I ended up being a midwife and a nurse, doing both of my bachelor degrees at the kitchen table.
Sandy, how did you first come to Vanuatu and what was your first impression here?
Okay, I came along to Vanuatu as a youth group girl. The church that I went to, my family are not Christians, but I decided to take myself anyway to church. Became a Christian, found faith, and this lovely dear old couple told me that it was a really good idea if I put aside a little bit of money, even $5 a week, for something came up and I wanted to go and do it. And then the youth group was going to Vanuatu, so I think I was the first person in my family to own a passport. I think my sister had been to Sydney on a plane, but I was the first one to go to do anything international. Went to Vila, Santo, Pentecost, and I was on Pentecost for 5 days or a week. Absolutely loved it. I have to say, what I did the most of though on that particular trip was vomiting and diarrhea because I had a really bad belly bug. And even though I was meant to be painting and doing all sorts of things at Ranwadi High School, I just wasn't able to do it. But the love of the people, the love for Vanuatu happened at that time. So I just, there's something about it that just has captured my heart. Just love it.
What do you think the biggest challenges are for women on this island, for
Uh,
women's health on this island?
Well, I mean, everybody's health is a challenge in Vanuatu because of accessibility for health, just facilities, resources, very tough. So, my experience has been as working in the birthing and working in antenatal clinic this year. I just really feel that women aren't valued the way that they should be. And so, women's health is not prioritized, which is crazy because women honestly are the backbone of Vanuatu. So I think being a woman is a challenge. I think in my experience, the thing that I found is that there's a very low level of health literacy. So women don't know how to keep themselves well. They don't understand their womanly parts and menstrual cycles and contraception and all of those things. And so and they work very hard too, which is very hard physically, musculoskeletally on their bodies. So there's lots of challenges, but I think the biggest one is that women are not valued and women's health is not prioritized in the whole scheme of things in the government.
Do you have any favorite recollection or story about one of the women that you've met here and helped? or their child maybe?
I was working in birthing, and this dear lady, she had lost her baby. Her baby would be born stillborn. And anyway, he was born, and he was just this bonny, fat, beautiful baby. And at that time, not sure if it's the same, but they wiped their baby all over with baby oil, which makes them incredibly slippery and hard to manage. And anyway, so I wiped him down and I measured and weighed him and I dressed him and I gave him to his mum, was their first baby. She spent time with the baby, her sister and her mum were there. And then sometime later, her dad came along with a cardboard box. And then it was for me to pick up this little precious one and pop him in the box. And then the lid was just folded down like you would if it was a box of groceries. And I just remember how brave she was. And oh dear, a little bit heartbreaking to close that box up. But these women are incredibly resilient and completely understanding that life and death happens together and that we don't get to choose that. And I was very touched by that story.
They tell us that as we age, we get wiser. Have you what wisdom do you think you got from the women of Vanuatu? Is there something they taught you?
Well, their strength is incredible. And their resilience. I think they just get on with it. Sometimes they're treated very unfairly, but they just get on with it. And I think they do very, very well with the resources that they have. They're always trying to do better for their children. So I just think the whole thing of just resilience and resolve, sticking together, I think that's what they have taught me.
This mission that you're on to help the women here, how can the people that are watching us here help you?
Okay, so what I'm involved in currently and what I will be coming back to Santo next year to do is around accessible healthcare. So I was asked to do a health survey last year on Mivo. So we went to the island of Mivo and went from north to south and as east as we could. We did pop-up clinics, we talked to people, we did community forums and spoke with health providers. The needs that ones that I've already talked about, which is accessibility is very difficult. If we had more time, I could tell more stories about that. So accessibility is difficult. Facilities need upgrading. Village health workers need supporting and upgrading. They need equipment. Women, there's not hardly any women's specific health. So when I go back next year, I'll be going back to Mivo as the beginning of a pilot program, and that will be around community education involving mental health, women's chronic diseases, domestic violence. We'll be going back, we'll be educating, upskilling and equipping village health workers, supporting them however we can, giving them professional development. And the long-term goal is to provide and set up Starlink so that there's no doctors on Mivo at all. In Vanuatu, on the whole, there's one doctor for every 1,000 people. So if we set up Starlink, then they directly link them with doctors and expertise. So how can they help me? There's probably tons of ways. I don't like to ask for money, but money's the currency of change, really. But if anyone knows anyone who knows anything and they want to send me an email, then that would be great. Yeah.
You've dedicated obviously a lot of your life helping other people. And how do you think that has shaped you into the woman you are today?
Well, actually, my proper name, Sandra, means helper of mankind. So it's very interesting that would be spoken over me and sort of placed in me. I think I've learned the truth of the saying that it's amazing how much can get done when you don't care who gets the credit. And so I think the things that I've poured myself into, including my family, are all fields of service, even as a midwife and a nurse, a lifesaver on the Gold Coast, millions of different things that I do. The reward of service is the joy of service. So you get a joy and you don't need a reward and you don't need recognition and you're not doing it to prove anything. And I think that I've deeply felt the challenge, especially as I've got older, that if I see a need and I can do something about it, or I can connect people with resources or people, then it's my very great joy to do that. So I think as I get older, I become more focused on leaving a legacy, and I know that that's actually a life stage that people go through, that they go through an accumulation phase and a serving phase into a legacy phase, and you realize that more of your life is behind you than ahead of you. You can't slow down time, so you need to invest yourself into the right things for the right reason when you have opportunity to do them.
Do you think is the best piece of advice anybody has given you and that you actually live by?
Well, I would say, particularly if you're an older woman and you're listening to this, just remember that a late bloom is still a flower. And so if God has placed something in your heart, or if you see a need that you can do something about, just go and do it. And I think that the thing about Vanuatu and these issues are they're all over the world, and they some of them are in our own communities. Where there is a need, sometimes a small response to that can make a massive difference. So uh, my the verse that I believe that God gave me for this is, do not despise the day of small things. The Lord delights for the work to begin. And if on an everyday way of expressing that would be, if you think small things don't make a difference, try and sleep with a mosquito in your mosquito net. So I just think if there is something that you can do, big or small, don't be afraid to do something, whatever you can about it.
You know, Sandy, you are an example of that age doesn't slow you down, or it doesn't have to slow you down. And it's not only about, aging and getting, it's also about giving. And you really are a testament to that. And so many people, I'm so grateful for everything you do for them.
Oh,
And I really, really appreciate your time here. We'll be seeing you back in Vanuatu next
yeah.
year. Yeah, Sandy, thank you so much for talking to me.
Oh, thanks, Marianne. I look forward to having a cup of tea at your place next time I'm there.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Okay. All right.
Bye, Sandy. Bye.
Okay. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.